Hey guys, welcome back to Release the Craftin. This is Priscilla here for another edition of Season of the Witch Challenge. This is in fact the 4th edition. This is day 4. The prompt for today is Enchantment. And you guys, make sure that you are following the hashtag rtcseason or checking out the playlist. It'll be linked at the end and down below so that you guys can follow along and see not just what I'm making, but what everybody else is making for this challenge too. And you guys, there are some pretty cool crafty cats out there. So definitely see the stuff they're making. People have been doing really cool things with their prompts and their ideas, and I'm actually really excited to see what people do for today's prompt, because this prompt was a little bit trickier than I anticipated, not only for myself, but for some other people. Some really sweet people reached out to ask me for some ideas or what I meant for this prompt, and that was really sweet, and I really appreciated that interaction. And honestly, guys, you can message me about anything. I would love to help, especially if you're stuck somewhere crafty. I love helping people get unstuck, so definitely send me a message if you are interested. But I decided for this one, for me, enchantment sort of strikes me as the act of, or the process of being enchanted. So somebody saying some sort of spell or, something over you, like a chant. It's an enchantment, in order to ensnare you or to beguile you or to persuade you, along those lines, right? Somebody uses some magic to sort of convince you to do something. So I was thinking of how to sort of visually represent an enchantment, something to use to sort of, cast a spell of sorts. And so I thought that I would turn my envelope for today into a total window, and then I would collage in the empty space. So that's what I'm doing right here. It's a little bit tricky because there's a lot of layers of paper to get through, but surprisingly that die made it through after a couple of passes, and I'm really impressed. As you can see, our supervisor is back in business. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a window out, ink everything up, and then I'm actually going to laminate a little collage together and then use the laminate as my window pane in this window. And I was trying to think of things that were magical, find some words that also went really well with it. I think you guys will like what I did here. Surprisingly, this was very involved, although it did not take me as long as I thought it did. But by the time I got to the end of this, though, I felt like somebody had cast an enchantment on me because I was tired. I was hella tired, and it was not that long. I did not spend that long doing it. So, actions into words, into, thoughts, and then there we are. We have expressed all the energy and we're tired. That's what happened. So, I have this little butterfly from a book about butterflies and moths, and I think butterflies and moths are very magical themselves on their own. They also have representations with being messengers from the dead. So I thought that was really appropriate. And then I have this really cool, poetry lyric book by this, Latina, girl rock punk group, band. I don't know how to describe it. They have very cool music, but I found their poetry lyric book, and I found this particular, excerpt to be really fascinating. And I will read it to you. I keep acting like I don't have this stuff right next to me, and it's literally right next to me as I'm recording. But it says, "You are my other me, I am your other you. Come gather round the flames, our wild tongues birth change. Come dance around the drum, room, bread, and truth for everyone. We heal each other with our every truth." And I thought that's the coolest enchantment I've ever heard in my life. And I actually cut that apart of a couple of different lines and verses from one of their songs, and was like, this is so cool. And I have some of this fake ephemera that I put together for our collage here. That little death announcement is actually from a book that came with a bunch of cool different little bits of ephemera so that you could solve the mystery, and I never solved the mystery. I've had that book since I was a kid. I never solved it. I got so frustrated that I just sort of put it on my shelf and then was like, forget this book. And then my mom made me clean out my books, but for some reason I ripped the envelope that all that fake ephemera was in out of the book, because I was like, I'm keeping this because I don't know, I thought I was going to solve the mystery one day without any of the context, just the pieces of ephemera. And then I found it recently when I was going through some stuff, and I was like, hey, this is now junk journal fodder. That's what, young me did when she ripped this out. She was planning for future me to use this as junk journal fodder. And so, yeah, that's what happened. arrangement. So essentially what I'm doing is I figured out, you know, the arrangement I wanted to use for my collage, and now I'm just going through, putting everything in together so that I get the right layering and like the right look for everything. I'm also being mindful of the fact that this is also going to be visible from the other side, which I realize I needed to be more mindful of after I get to this point where I glue everything on the front down. I was like, oh, you should have maybe considered 100% what was the like on the back before you started gluing stuff together, but I didn't, so we had to work around it, but that's okay. We made it work. But yes, the intention is that this will be visible from both sides, so it needs to look good from both sides, because I made this window all the way through. And it was a little bit tricky, but like definitely worth it. Definitely worth the brain power that went into it. But see how I was like, oh, look at this big empty space of fake newspaper that you forgot about. You needed to do something with. Because it's not necessarily very witchy on the back of this little fake newspaper. But we managed to make it work. Because when in doubt, add a moon on it, and it'll work. But then, you know, my biggest obstacle was the fact that I'd already stuck stuff down. So I was like, ooh, tricky. But I like that. I think it works out together. I think it worked out in the end. And then I'm just going to laminate it. And look how cool that is. A very nice, very cool window. And the cool thing about like the shiny metallic magical circle stickers is that they're silver on the other side. So they're still just as cool on the other side. And then here comes the trickier part, where I really overthought sticking it down. Because I'm turning these envelopes into an envelope book, I had to be very mindful of the fact that I could not just stick a bunch of glue around all four sides and be like, there, you're in, you're done. So I decided to use double-sided tape, and then didn't prep it in any way that would have made it easy for me to use. So definitely learn from my mistakes here, because I struggled, which is probably why I was so tired, now that I'm thinking about it. Because here I am like, yep, this looks good, everything fits, everything looks good, it all works. So just, you know, commit to the bit, just pull the sides off and you'll be fine. But I had to remember I have to leave one side open, so I can't let them glue down. So I can only glue it to the laminate, because like I gotta fit another envelope tab in there before I close it all up. But then, like, you know how hard it is to pull little strips of paper that are stuck to tape outside of this little envelope that was not meant to open up all the way because you did not open any of the sides or prepare to remove this tape from any of the sides. Yeah, so learn from my mistakes, please. I beg of you, learn from my mistakes. It was definitely fiddly, but I managed to make it work, so it wasn't the worst thing that could possibly happen. And then I decided that I wanted to make a tag for this. I know I'm not showing it yet because it did take me a minute to get my act together here. But I wanted to make a tag for this, and I wanted it to be visible also through this window, but like a little bit more mysterious. So I have this really cool picture of this like forest scene that has like this, like, I don't know what it's like a sheet, but there's like a man cut out that looks like a little bit like Bigfoot, or like a spirit coming through from another world, like there's a portal or something. So I was like, all right, so to add to the enchantment, there's also like some sort of guardian coming through from the other world to like help you heal with truth, so like it matches the words on the front. That was what's in my brain, so that's how we put it together here. And then it was just a matter of making a little tag that was also visually appealing on the other side, so that, you know, you could see it through, but not like really, because most of it's going to be obscured, but you could still see some of it through. So I wanted it to look nice, even if you didn't know what you were looking at when you look through the window. And then, like I said, I wanted there to be journaling space in here, so I had to make sure that there was a cool tag that you could journal on. Not that everything needed a tag. Every page does not have a tag. But a lot of them do, so I wanted to definitely make sure that this one was writable, or photo mountable, and but I also wanted it to be pretty. So here we are. And then I think I decided to go with this purple rose so that it tied into the paper that was on the front. So it's all sort of working together. And I'm just going with the theory because, like I said, that I didn't really have a very strong story concept as I was making this. I had like somewhat of a story idea, but like nothing super like set in stone or really like well thought out. But I think for this, we're talking like ancestral spirits and guardians being passed on. This might be some more words that she found in her magical books and is now putting them together to cast a different sort of spell, and this is what she's coming up with. That's sort of the idea, I guess, that I'm leaning towards. And I think it works. I think it works. I hope that you guys are really enjoying this challenge. It was really fun. Making these pages was so fun. Because I was really doing the most for every single page, even though it was just a very small, like, part of a whole. And all together, guys, like, now that I have finished all of my pages, they look so good together. I cannot wait for you guys to see them all. It was very fun and very exciting. Oh, and then I decided to do some embossing, I guess, because it needed to be sparkly. But then I ran into this obstacle of, everything being staticky or maybe slightly wet from the inking. Also, I will say, embossing on top of these stickers is very hard and very tricky, but not impossible. You just have to work quickly so that you don't make your sticker bubble up or shrink, because they will definitely warp. So that was something I didn't think about and probably should have embossed before I started sticking stickers down, but, you know, YOLO. So there we are. And I decided to use, I think this is the same platinum embossing powder, so, you know, there's sort of a through line here. It does all look like it's very tied in together, like it all is one cohesive piece, so I am very happy for the fact that I managed to keep the vibes the same throughout, even though I was trying to, like, experiment and play with little different ideas and concepts and things, because I haven't done, like, a little collage in a laminate like this, so that was fun to just sort of play around with, and then having to be mindful of the fact that there's stuff on the other side too was an interesting experiment. And this is, oh, the back of this is some orange paper that I dyed ages ago. It's not supposed to be 100% orange, it's like tea dyed and orange, but I like how it comes out. I think it works for this sort of Halloween spooky season vibe. Then I decided to add a little charm on the bottom because we need our witch doing her enchanting, don't we? But yeah, that's it, guys. That's the whole thing. It all goes together. So definitely come back tomorrow and see what we do for day 5. And follow the hashtag, the playlist, all the things. I appreciate your faces, and I'll catch you guys all on the next one. Until then, happy crafting, guys. Bye!